The F1 track, where legends are made, records are broken, and sometimes dreams shatter in the blink of an eye. Let's journey through some of the most brutal crashes that changed the face of F1 forever. We all know how F1 tracks can be as treacherous as they are mesmerizing. Just take the Spa circuit, with its legendary turns and thrilling straights. It's long tested the mettle of drivers, but on one particular day in 2018, it was about to test the mettle of innovation. The Halo. Charles Leclerc, the young Monegasque talent, was in the thick of the action. As the lights went out, the very first lap saw the beginnings of chaos. Fernando Alonso, after contact with another car, was sent flying over Leclerc's Sauber. The sight was harrowing. Alonso's car skimming over Leclerc's cockpit. It was the type of scene that every F1 fan dreads. But here's where fate, aided by innovation, stepped in. The Halo, the controversial safety device introduced that very season, shielded Leclerc, absorbing the brunt of the crash. The aftermath of the collision proved its success, with a car in ruins, but a driver safe and sound. Remember when some said the Halo was just an eyesore? Bet they're eating their words now. As if saving Leclerc's life wasn't enough, the device once again proved its worth at the Bahrain GP. Romain Grosjean was just moments into the race when disaster struck. A collision sent his car hurling into the barriers at an alarming speed, causing it to split in two and burst into a ball of flames. He was trapped in the fireball for nearly half a minute. The scene was a nightmare, a reminder of the bygone days of motorsport racing, when fire could spell death for drivers. But from the inferno emerged a miracle. With the Halo performing its function and the quick-thinking medical team, Grosjean managed to free himself from the wreckage, emerging unscathed from an incident that could have been fatal. Turns out F1's never-ending saga of safety first isn't just for show.
Safety first, fashion second.
And to think, some were worried the Halo would ruin the car's look. Well, it sure looks good when it's saving lives, doesn't it? Let's rewind a few decades to 1977, the height of disco and bell-bottom jeans. But over in South Africa at the Kyalami track, things were about to get serious. Tom Price, one of the most promising drivers of his time, was speeding down the track like a bullet. But as fate would have it, in his path was a marshal sprinting across the track with a hefty fire extinguisher to control a fire from a previous crash. The timing? Absolutely catastrophic. Price, with no time to react, collided with the man. The sheer force of the impact was so brutal that both Price and the marshal lost their lives. The extinguisher, propelled by the collision, struck Price's helmet with such force that the images from that day remain some of the most haunting in F1 history. After this tragedy, the FIA took a hard look at trackside safety, ushering in stricter protocols for marshals and advanced warning systems. The aim? To ensure that the heroes of the track and those ensuring their safety never face such a grim fate again. But danger doesn't always come from where you expect, as this 1995 incident in Hungary is about to show us. Enter Taki Inoi, a name not as renowned as some, but after his incident he'd be hard to forget. During a practice session in Hungary, Inoi's car decided it had had enough and burst into flames. Now you'd think a burning car would be the climax of this story.
Hold up, wait a minute.
But as the marshals rushed to extinguish the fire, a medical car ended up hitting poor Inoi, who was trying to fetch a fire extinguisher. I mean, come on. Talk about adding insult to injury. Thankfully, Inoi survived the incident with minor injuries. But the incident was a stark reminder that sometimes even the rescue can be risky. As a result, the FIA renewed its efforts for safety vehicle protocols and trackside communication. Because, let's face it, if you're going to be hit on a racetrack, you'd expect it to be from another race car, not the medical team. While Inoi's collision with a medical car was a bizarre twist of fate, it underscores the unpredictable nature of F1. Every race, every lap, is a dance with danger, and sometimes even the most seasoned dancers, like Jackie Stewart, can find themselves in a life-threatening limbo. The scene was the notorious Spa circuit, a track known for its unforgiving nature. During a particularly wet race, Stewart's car skidded off the track, leaving him trapped in the mangled wreckage, fuel dripping ominously onto his face. Two fellow drivers, risking their own safety, came to Stewart's rescue, pulling him out of what could have been a fiery end.
Whoa. Bravo!
Little did anyone know that decades later, the same corner would bear witness to yet another tragedy, as Formula 2 driver Antoine Hubert lost his life in a crash during a race in 2019. This terrifying crash became a wake-up call when Stewart decided to flip the script on F1 safety, because, you know, nearly getting barbecued in your own car is one way to get motivated. Thanks to him, F1 got a much-needed safety makeover, proving that sometimes a driver's most significant impact is made off the track. Nicholas Latifi, the gift that keeps on giving. If F1 had a Hall of Fame for unforgettable moments, Latifi would probably have his own wing. In the sunlit dunes of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, Cody Fee made sure everyone knew his name, even if it was for the wrong reasons. While most drivers fancied a smooth drive, our adventurous Canadian decided to add a touch of drama by slamming into the barriers. I guess that was one way to leave a mark on the track. Then there was the Monaco Grand Prix. Monaco. The jewel of the F1 calendar. While most drivers were cautiously navigating its treacherous turns behind the safety car, Latifi, never one to miss an opportunity, crashed behind a safety car. An achievement so rare it's practically an art form. But the pièce de résistance at the Japanese Grand Prix, where drivers go left and right, Latifi chose another direction. Reverse, going the wrong way around a track. It's bold, it's daring, it's ill-advised, but give the man credit for originality. To Nicholas Latifi, the man who never fails to surprise, we salute you. Silverstone, the iconic birthplace of Formula 1 Grand Prix racing. This circuit, with its fast sweeps and legendary turns, has seen champions rise and witnessed tales of unparalleled bravery. But in 2022, it played host to a moment that had everyone holding their collective breath. All thanks to Guan Yu Zhou. The Chinese prodigy was enjoying his rookie season when a multi-car collision struck on the opening lap. Zhou's car went skidding upside down, speeding across the asphalt, darting through gravel, and ultimately launching over an impact-absorbing tire wall. To the shock of onlookers, Zhou's car was jammed between the wall and a metal fence. Its metallic structure crumpled. The scene looked every bit like the aftermath of a major crash. But there was one heartwarming sight. George Russell, having narrowly escaped the melee himself, sprinted over to check on Zhou. As the driver was extricated from his car, it was once again discovered that the Halo had saved Zhou from what could have been a catastrophic fate. The same Halo that had earlier in the day also shielded Roy Nissany from a menacing airborne car. Safety, it seems, doesn't just hinge on the design and regulations. It's also about the spirit of the camaraderie among competitors. As for the Halo, it might be time to rename it the guardian angel of the racetrack, don't you think? Following tragic incidents, the FIA often springs into action, introducing new protocols and refining existing ones. For example, it was after the heart-wrenching events of the 2014 Japanese GP that the virtual safety car was introduced, and trackside recovery procedures underwent a rigorous review. But why this sudden emphasis on safety? The answer lies in a tragic incident at the Suzuka circuit. Pouring rain had turned this racetrack into a battlefield, causing Adrian Sutil to lose control and crash his car. A crane was dispatched to remove his vehicle, and things were going smoothly. But then, on the following lap, Jules Bianchi lost control at the very same spot. As he crashed into the crane, the impact was devastating. The F1 community watched, prayed, and hoped. But after a valiant fight, Bianchi succumbed to his injuries 9 months later. Today, his legacy continues to shape the sport's commitment to safety. Jules Bianchi's tragic death proves that in the world of F1, split-second decisions mean the difference between victory and disaster. Earlier in 2009, the Hungaroring had given everyone a chilling reminder of just how fine that line can be. Felipe Massa, The Brazilian sensation was in his element, pushing his Ferrari to the limits during a qualifying session. But then, in a twist of fate that no one could have seen coming, a suspension spring from Rubens Barrichello's Brawn GP car came loose and hurtled towards Massa's car. It struck his helmet at the speed of 162 miles per hour. The driver was knocked unconscious, and his car crashed into the tire barriers. Massa was airlifted to the hospital and thankfully survived his injuries. As a result of this tragic incident, the FIA subjected the drivers' helmets to rigorous redesigns to ensure they offered maximum protection even against the most unexpected dangers. Guess the helmet's job description just got a little longer.
From Massa's miraculous escape in Hungary,
We rewind the clock to a time where the outcome wasn't as fortunate. The year was 1994, and the F1 community was about to face one of its darkest weekends at the San Marino Grand Prix. Roland Ratzenberger, an Austrian driver with dreams as big as his talent, was making only his third F1 appearance. With every lap, he aimed to push a little harder, but during the qualifying session, as he pushed his SimTech to clinch a better grid position, tragedy struck. Ratzenberger lost control at the high-speed Villeneuve corner, and the car violently collided with the barrier at a speed of 195.7 miles per hour. The impact was devastating. Despite the immediate medical attention, Ratzenberger's injuries proved fatal. The next day, the world was to lose another racing icon on the same track. Ayrton Senna, the three-time world champion, met a fatal crash at the Tamburello corner. His car collided at a speed of 192 miles per hour, and the impact was so severe that it bounced the vehicle back onto the circuit, causing serious head injuries. With two lives tragically cut short, the world mourned one of the darkest weekends in F1 history. After Imola 94, the FIA jumped into action, dialing down the car's downforce, with tweaks to the front wing, under tray, and a diffuser. Cars weren't cornering at neck-breaking speeds anymore, and the Tamburello corner, once a high-speed threat, got a slow-down chicane makeover. The FIA also introduced safer barriers, which were tougher and smarter, to reduce the risk of severe injuries during crashes. Imola 94 was more than just a tragic weekend. It was the catalyst that forever transformed the safety parameters of F1. Almost 2 decades earlier, another harrowing incident had shaken the F1 world to its core. The year was 1976, and the F1 circus had descended upon the Nürburgring, a track infamous for its challenges. Niki Lauda was the reigning world champion, and a force to be reckoned with. Before the race, Lauda had expressed his grave concerns about the safety of the track, especially under the day's challenging conditions. He even rallied for the race to be cancelled.
No! God, please, no! No!
But when drivers cast their votes, the majority wanted to race on. But as destiny would have it, Lauda lost control of his Ferrari during the race. The car suddenly veered off track, slamming into the embankment and bursting into flames. The scene was apocalyptic. Engulfed in a fireball, Lauda was trapped inside the burning wreckage when fellow racers rushed to his aid, risking their own lives to pull him out. But even with their heroic efforts, his injuries were severe. He suffered extensive burns, and his lungs were damaged from inhaling toxic fumes. Lauda refused to let the unpredictability of F1 wear him down, making a miraculous return just 6 weeks later. His recovery might as well have been a script from a superhero movie, because, you know, not all heroes wear capes. Some wear fireproof suits with a layer of pure grit. Fast forward to 1994, and we find ourselves at the Hockenheimring, another German circuit with its own tales of speed and peril. Jos Verstappen, the Dutch racer and father to the future F1 star, was about to experience a brush with mortality. During the German GP, Jos was pissing for a routine refuel with his Benetton, but as the fuel hose connected, a catastrophic failure occurred. In mere moments, fuel sprayed all over the car, igniting a massive fireball that engulfed both Verstappen and several members of the pit crew. The blaze was intense and swift, just like Lauda's crash, but thanks to the rapid response of the pit crew and his fire retardant racewear, Verstappen escaped with only minor burns. In the aftermath, F1 took a hard look at refueling procedures, leading to their eventual ban in 2010. After all, why call AAA when you can call BBQ? Let's jump ahead to when the next generation of Verstappen was making headlines. This time it's Max, the young prodigy. The setting was the 2018 Azerbaijan Grand Prix, a race known for its tight corners and high-speed straights. Set against the backdrop of Baku's historic city walls, Max Verstappen and his then teammate Daniel Ricciardo were both driving for Red Bull Racing, and as the laps ticked by, their on-track rivalry intensified. Throughout the race, the duo exchanged positions, with each daring overtake more and more audacious than the last. On lap 40, as Ricciardo attempted yet another pass on Verstappen, the two cars collided, sending both drivers into the barriers and out of the race. Red Bull Racing had a lot of introspection to do, and the crash became a key moment in the Ricciardo-Red Bull saga. Not long after, the Australian driver announced his sudden departure from the team, and it's likely this incident that was the reason. It's one thing to race your rival, but when that rival shares your garage, the stakes are even higher. And while technology and safety measures have come a long way, human error and judgment remain unpredictable as ever. Here's to F1, the sport that proves time and again that no matter how intense the impact, the show must go on, with a few more safety regulations, of course. Turns out, these drivers have a need for speed that would make even Clarkson jealous. This is just a taste of what you can expect on our new channel, dedicated to bringing you the most jaw-dropping stories from the world of Formula 1. Hit that like button, smash that subscribe, and buckle up, because this is just the beginning.